Hey everybody, welcome back to Gillen's Garage, and on today's episode, we're talking about the van. All right guys, well, as you see behind me, I got a rolling chassis. I got the front axle painted and I got it in. So I'm gonna show you what I've done so far. I even got a couple of questions, so you guys hang in here because I'm always looking for advice, and I know there's a lot of good, helpful people out there, and that's what we're doing. We're working together today. You guys help me, I maybe help you, show you a couple things I got going. So here we go. All right, so my Sharpie was dying, but I just couldn't get rid of all that old wiring I took out for the EFI and all that. So I saved all this wiring in this nice box, right? Because you just never know. So I got the power steering box bolted back in. That's just the drag link is just loosely put in. That's not permanent. Started to fit the brake lines back in, and you're saying, why are you using the original brake lines? Because they're perfect. So I'll probably get a couple of differing opinions on this. I am going to clean up that R ABS and reinstall it because I kind of like the idea of rear anti-lock brakes. I know some guys delete those. I've seen the OBS Ford truck guys get rid of them, and it works on my 97, and I'm going to continue to try to keep this one working. So anyhow, but as you can see, I painted up the Dana 60 in my driveway with my Harbor Freight sprayer. Here's something. These are the Moog, what is it, CS 880s, I believe, the progressive springs. You can see how the coil spring is closer into one spot, further apart in the other. So these will fit the, 78, well, I should say third gen, mine, the 1990. So they fit this. I was able to get the retainer clips back in, which is interesting because the Super Duty trucks don't have the retainer clips on their coil buckets, but I wanted to ensure that I got mine back in. I guess the suspension on the F-Series trucks or the Super Duty trucks limits the spring from falling out, but I wanted to put them back in. Aside from that, got the coil brackets in. I need to get a couple more bolts for the back mount. I got the engine mounts back in, moving back. So this is my mock-up fuel tank, and I think you can tell why it's my mock-up. I set the van body down on it. Yeah. So I went ahead and got a replacement, and I've been working on my auxiliary fuel tank back here, and I'm just not happy with what I've got going on, and so I'm going back to the drawing board. My buddy John said, you know what, I don't think you're really happy with it, so why don't you just start over? So one of the things I'm looking at doing is just doing one filler neck and putting a crossover hose. That's why you see a bunch of fittings here, right? So this has an aluminum bung that'll get welded to whatever tank I get. Obviously not there, down low. But, and then I get these 1-inch NPT, that'll go in there. Now, this will get welded on up here. Now, the theory is I'll have this bung welded to this location on the front of the tank, and then, however this ends up, I will have a bung welded to the bottom of the rear tank. So, as you fill the fuel up in this tank, water seeks its own level and fills the rear tank. I'll have, I got this bung right here. Wherever this ends up, be it on the front or on the top, that will come over, tie into this vent, then that will come up and tie into the filler neck. So both tanks will vent together. I'll have a 1-inch fuel line, and that's one of my questions for you fluid dynamic guys. Will this 1 inch carry enough fuel that it fills both tanks up before filling the front tank up. So I thought I wanted 2, and I thought, no, I just want 1. So I'm gonna try it with 1, get this bung welded on to the new tank, which I have over across the shop, and give that a shot. So I went ahead and modified the sending unit. Let's see if I can pull that out. Oh. Things are always more difficult one-handed. There we go. So there you go. There's the modified sending unit for the F26E tank. And obviously, if you guys have been following this build, I added cross members, and this is an OBS 38-gallon tank. But I went ahead and got like a Parker or a Swedge lock compression fitting. This sending unit is stainless steel as well. The OD is the same as this 3A stainless tubing. So went ahead and coupled that together, tightened it down. These things are awesome. Parker Swedge lock compression stainless steel fittings. And then if you see there, I actually stabbed this piece of stainless steel down through and eliminated this, I guess that'd be like a fail safe, that it'll suck fuel out of there if the bottom becomes plugged. However, I don't feel that's important with today's fuel and if you're careful. So I went ahead and shoved that straight down through. And what that does is it makes this whole piece rigid. So it has less tendency to flex and break when the fuel is sloshing back and forth in the tank. So you'll end up keeping this little screen, and the longevity of this piece will be a lot longer. So the return was low enough for me. That's good enough. We'll just leave it where it's at. I just went ahead and kind of modified the float and kind of bent it down. Obviously, I'll still have a little bit of fuel left over, but when the tank goes to E, I figure like on a motorcycle, I'll have a little bit of reserve, but if it gets to E, you better be looking. So that's that. I still got work on that. And let me know in the comments about that, what you guys think about this crossover pipe, if that 1 inch will be enough. So perches still need welded on. Again, that's gonna be one of the last things when I set the pinion angle, once I get all the way to the body back on. In the cab, let's go over to the van body here. Of course, shop's a mess. It's kind of one of today's projects. But I have started insulating the dog box and whatnot. And I'm not going to lie, behind the scenes, right? Yeah, I'm a very messy mechanic. So one of the projects for today is to get all this stuff on the shelf, get this cleaned out so I can finish the floor. My goal is to get this thing back on the body here pretty directly. So I need to get a couple of things wrapped up. I want to get some fuel line. Here's what I'm looking at for fuel line. I recycled this stuff off of a job that was salvaged. Again, this is some 3A stainless steel. We took a station down and this stuff was left over. It was gonna get scrapped, so I saved it. But the nice thing about it is it's stainless steel with this rubberized coating over top of it, which should definitely, I mean, even the stainless, it's 035 wall. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time actually damaging that. So, but I'm going to try to use this for the supply and the return as well. So that's one thing I need to do to get the frame buttoned up before I drop it down on. My propane tank sits here, and I did end up buying a propane kit, and I should hopefully have that in the next couple weeks. I picked it up in Kentucky, and actually I didn't. A good friend of mine picked it up for me while he was in Kentucky. And so I'll have that, and it's got a new tank that's in a little bit better condition. I'll show you mine. It's over here. Let's see. Yeah, back through the messy shop. Yeah, here's the tank I have. So basically, I modified it with this bar to mount it in the center. But the tank he has a remote fill already. It's nice and bright and white, but I believe it's only 10 inches in diameter versus this one being 12. So I know I'll lose a little capacity. So I got to play that by ear, but this one needs to be cleaned up and painted if I'm going to use it before I drop it in. So that's something that needs to happen in the next couple weeks. While I'm back here in the storage area, I've been talking to my my good friend that is going to help me. He's much much more educated on the 5.9 Cummins than I am. So we're going to pull the head off of the engine, go get the head decked. I got a new exhaust manifold. We're going to re-gasket the whole top end. We're going to flip it over and check crank bearings and rod bearings and do the killer dowel pin up front, clean this engine up, put it back together. He's also going to go through the transmission, which is, yeah, right here. Yeah, buried under a pile of stuff. Going to go through that NV4500 and get that thing squared away. So things are shaking. All right, guys, so I know that was a lot, but if you made it this far in, you're digging what I got going on. If you're digging it, remember, like, subscribe, do whatever you want. Let me know. Hey, somebody shoot me a comment. I asked before if anybody wants t-shirts. I'm not that big, but hey, if anybody wants a t-shirt, hey, maybe I get something together, has a couple little Bronco 2s on it. I don't know. I'm just a small timer. But if anybody digs that stuff, you let me know, because I'm not going to know unless I ask. So, hey, thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.